politicians are experienced. That's what people don't understand. Politicians have been doing this game for a long time.
Right.
So they watched their political godfather survive protests.
Mm-hmm.
So they know that at worst, all you do is wait them out.
That is true.
The smartest political leaders don't fight protests.
No.
They wait it out.
To sit with someone who's been part of elections across the continent, I am very curious. First of all, what role did you play in the Kenyan elections?
We did work on the coalition building efforts in 2016-17, working for the opposition, especially with the Odinga.
The last 2 years in Kenya, we've had young people with a lot of uprising, wanting a change in the regime.
Yeah.
So in your view, what's the biggest misconception we have? What is it that we, the citizens, do not know on how we can actually go ahead to change a regime?
The thing is that when you build a social movement,
right,
unless it affects politics, it's often useless. No social movement, and I write it in the book, can succeed without anger. Anger is crucial. But the problem is that same anger can become blinding. The thing that makes youth most powerful is the thing that makes youth most weak.
Man, what sort of ingredients should we add to the movement so that it doesn't fizzle out?
Every institution that Mandela was part of building still exists, including the ANC. So the research shows that there are powers of sustainable organization that you're never going to find a perfect president.
Yeah.
You're never going to create a perfect person. And the reason for that is because there are no perfect human beings. You have to have leadership, even if it's not positional leadership, strategic thinking leadership, that is thinking, okay, how do we translate this into legislative seats? How do we translate it into sustained pressure?
Right.
How do we make the president not feel a sense of comfort that they are going to go home? How do they know that we mean business?
This is Becoming CEO with Chudday. Classmates, because of your support, we are getting bigger and better. Becoming CEO has partnered with Fair Deal Furniture, the official licensees of Ashley Furniture Home Store, the biggest manufacturers of furniture in the world, where the chairs are very, very plush and the tables are timeless, and the only thing more polished than the wood is the wisdom. Here we don't just sit and talk, we strategize and we build empires. Becoming CEO isn't just a title, it's a lifestyle, and every legacy deserves the right seat. Classmates, our lecturer for the day has flown in all the way from Lagos, so you people are very important. This is a very important conversation. They call him the golden boy of African media, Mr. Chudday. I will not try and attempt to pronounce the second name, but when his team reached out for the first time and I started doing my research, bro, the details, I had to write this down, so let me try and get this right. So he is the co-founder and CEO of Red for Africa, where they crafted and led strategies that fueled social movements and shaped national elections across Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, Sierra Leone and Senegal. As if that is not enough, after a decade of doing that work, he left Red and founded a new company. Wow, I've lost it. Sorry. A human flourishing company called Joy Inc. and has partnered with organizations like Ford Motor Company and the Lagos state government to create safe, nurturing spaces for mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being. Then in 2020, as if that is not enough, he also launched #WithChudday, a viral podcast featuring conversation with African leaders and celebrities, which, man, I have been camping on that particular platform, the way he runs the platform. Now, this is a man who knows how to run his YouTube page like a businessman, and I'm here to learn, here for it. Chudday has been a Forbes 30 Under 30 honoree, CNBC Young Business Leader of the Year, an Archbishop Desmond Tutu Fellow, and a World Fellow at Yale University. He has served on boards that include Microsoft for Africa, the Owando Foundation, and the Initiative for Equal Rights. I could go on and on. He's also a filmmaker, which really got me excited because he's worked on documentaries, winning awards for Best Documentary, Best Feature, and official selection at the Africa International Film Festival. And his writing and work have been featured in the New York Times, The Guardian, BBC, CNN, Al Jazeera, The Huffington Post, The Financial Times. He's written 3 books, and he has a forthcoming book called How Depression Saved My Life. I'm just going to start here. How many hours do you have in your day? The rest of us have 24. How many hours do you have in your day?
I don't know. You know, when I was hearing you reading it,
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, that's a lot. Yeah, I've been working since I was 15.
Okay.
So
It's starting to make sense.
Yes, that's the short answer. Yes. So since 15, I've been working. I've always been so hungry.
Yeah.
And so ambitious. You know, I was telling somebody just yesterday, I said, when I was younger, and people would say, oh, come and play card games, come and play football, I was so irritated. I'm like, there's things happening in the world. I need to go to the world and do things.
Yeah.
So
Right.
till today, I don't play. I don't know. I wish I had learned. I don't know how to play video games. I don't know how to play card games because I spent all my time just thinking about the things I wanted to do in the world.
Where did that come from?
That's a good question. Somebody asked me that a
Yeah.
few months ago. I don't know.
Yeah.
I know that I'm an only child.
Right.
So I didn't spend a lot of time with family,
Right.
so to speak, like
Right.
brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
I'm also very introverted.
Okay.
So I spent I read I'd read in Wationgo, Aikwama before I was 10.
Wow.
Yes. And so I think that may be what happened. I think that from a young age, my mind began to think serious thoughts
Right.
and began to envision worlds. And my father used to, I always tell people that by the time I came out of secondary school, high school, I was a media expert. Why? Because my father used to buy all the newspapers and I would read everything. And I would know who the columnists are, what the sections were, you know, how the country was. And so I think from a young age, my mind began to realize there's something bigger. And so when you realize there's something bigger, you want to become a part of it in an important way.
Yeah.
And I think that's what fed the hunger. I don't know for sure,
Right.
but I think that is what fed the hunger.
Right. I'm going to start from where every Kenyan sat up the minute I mentioned.
Yes.
You have been part and parcel of the general elections in this country.
Yes.
I am very curious what role you played.
Right.
You know, a lot of political stories we hear out here, you know, you hear them as though they are fiction or they are a myth or something. But, you know, just to sit with someone who's been part of elections across the continent, I am very curious. First of all, what role did you play in the Kenyan elections?
So, without revealing too much, because you know that there are all kinds of confidentiality clauses, but we did work on the coalition building efforts in 2016-17, working for the opposition, especially with the Odinga
the Odinga
campaign.
Yeah.
My co-founder, Adebola Williams, my business partner, was the one that spent a lot of time with the candidates, you know, etc. I do the strategy, he does the engagement then. So that's what it is. We spent 1 year just using our experience to help build an opposition coalition.
Right.
Yeah. At the first few years of our work, we were focused on building opposition coalitions. We had a lot of experience with marshalling social movements.
Okay.
And so the thing is that when you build a social movement, unless it affects politics, it's often useless. Unless you change an outcome, make a law, change policy, put a new person in who believes in the thing that you are saying, after the protest, everybody goes home. Now, I've co-founded a civil rights organization in Nigeria called Enough is Enough Nigeria, and we learned that you finish protesting, the politicians co-opt the movement, you know, and continue going. So we thought to ourselves, well, there has to be something different we can do. It's not just to go on the streets and protest. There must be a way for those protests to lead to regime change, political outcomes, representation for our positions. And so we built that competence in Nigerian elections. And so from 2015, that's the elections we won in Nigeria were part of, because it's not just us, was the opposition candidate became the president of Nigeria.
Right.
Then we moved to Ghana. We were invited to Ghana. We worked with the Nana Akufo-Addo campaign.
Yes.
It was an opposition candidacy, won. So it was that experience that we brought to the coalition building efforts here in Kenya.
Right.
Because there was a citizen movement that was emerging at the time, and thinking, how do you marshal this to change electoral outcomes?
Okay.
Yeah.
That didn't work in Kenya. I'm curious why it didn't work.
Yes.
It worked in Nigeria. It worked in Ghana. But, you know, I'm sure because you're in the world, you kind of follow what's happening. And so the last 2 years in Kenya, we've had, you know, young people with a lot of uprising, you know, wanting a change in the regime.
Yeah.
And you've written a memo on how to win elections. And now you're talking about movements. And so in your view, what's the biggest misconception we have? What is it that we, the citizens, do not know? And I think you've touched on it, on how we can actually go ahead to change a regime.
Right. What I have learned, the most important thing, is that the thing that makes youth most powerful is the thing that makes youth most weak.
Okay.
And that is the lack of contextual knowledge. That means that because you do not know how the things became the way they are, you can fight it with your full strength because you are not part of it, you're not responsible for it, you know, you are not implicated in it, and so your rage is pure. That is a beautiful thing. That is why people can go on the streets and protest, because their rage and their anger is authentic and pure. That's a massive advantage. No social movement, and I write it in the book, can succeed without anger. Anger is crucial as the trigger.
Right.
Yeah. But the problem is that that same anger can become blinding. So the point at which you should make strategic partnerships, the point at which you make concessions and compromises, because of the purity of the necessary anger, it is impossible to force that into the machinery of politics, where there's a lot of negotiation necessary, where you cannot always get what you want, not even in the French Revolution. Yeah. So that's the problem. Also, and this is, I learned it from experience. There are no perfect people, no perfect leaders, you're never going to find a perfect president. You're never going to create a perfect person. And the reason for that is because there are no perfect human beings.
That's true.
So often disappointment now leads to disillusionment. So you fight for something, your comrades get in, they become like the people you were fighting against. You lose hope. No, you shouldn't lose hope. You should continue holding your comrades accountable. It is a long slog. So that is where, so people often believe, because most young people are attending protests for the first time. They expect that, so when you hear young people say, this has never happened before, that's a bad sign.
Because it has.
Nothing has never happened before. Kenya has a rich history of revolutionary protests. Rich history. There's nothing, and this is not to disrespect the movement. I was inspired by the protest, the finance bill protest, the protest against the person that was killed in police custody. Inspired, beautiful citizen engagement. But it's happened before. And so when you know that it has happened before, what happens is that you begin to ask yourself, why did it fail the last time? Are you able to plug the holes? Are you able to manage your expectation and move forward with effectiveness? But when you think it hasn't happened before, then you are unprepared for the shocks that the system will create.
Man, what sort of ingredients should we add to the movement so that it doesn't fizzle out?
You need and I spent some time with the professor at Yale when I had my fellowship there, and I was talking to her about what I was writing a paper on the M trifecta of social movements: Martin Luther King, Mohandas Gandhi, and Mohandas Gandhi, Martin Luther King, and somebody else, and Mandela. And I was saying to her, and I kept saying to her, that what made their movement powerful was the purity of the mission and their personal integrity. And she said to me, no, that's not what the research says. She said, the research shows that there are powers of sustainable organization.
Sustainable, wow.
Every institution that Mandela was part of building still exists, including the ANC.
Sustainable. You see, for us, and that has been the rallying call with us, the young people who are demonstrating. We're like, we are leaderless.
Yes, yes.
But now you're here telling us that, politics doesn't work like that.
It
You
doesn't,
actually
sadly.
need structure. You need a leader
Yeah.
because you're going to go into these spaces to negotiate.
You have to, at the end of the day, human existence is oiled by compromise and negotiation. At the end of any human enterprise, I always joke, it's only on TV that you see CEOs who come to the office and say, you do this, you do this, you do this. There's no such thing.
Right.
Real CEOs go into offices and win consent.
That is true.
Even with your employees who you pay,
That is true.
you must win their buy-in.
Yeah.
So if you must win the buy-in of people who you pay, how will you win? How can you avoid the buy-in of people who own ultimate political power?
Yeah.
So no, and I understand the allure. I've been part of so-called leaderless movements. I understand the necessity of that positioning.
Yeah.
But even if you position yourself as leaderless, you must structurally have a leadership. And a leadership doesn't have to be a person. A leadership can be a structure. But what the leadership is doing, it is taking the raw anger and processing it into structure. Because politicians are experienced. That's what people don't understand. Politicians have been doing this game for a long time.
Right.
So they watched their political godfather survive protests. So they know that at worst, all you do is wait them out.
That is true.
Just wait. The smartest political leaders don't fight protests.
No.
They wait it out. Because most protests fizzle out.
That's true.
Especially on the African continent.
That is so true.
So you have to have leadership, even if it's not positional leadership, strategic thinking leadership, that is thinking, okay, how do we translate this into legislative seats? How do we translate it into sustained pressure?
Right.
How do we make the president not feel a sense of comfort that they are going to go home? How do they know that we mean business? That is the kind of thing. So there is not Black Lives Matter, in fact, any leaderless movement fizzles out. You have to have the courage to find and trust flawed people.
The courage to find and trust flawed people.
Yes.
That is so powerful because, of course, the next question, top of my mind, is how do we as a continent get the right leaders? Because it feels like it's across board. And yes, there are no perfect people, but you know what? We've seen countries that function.
Well,
we
yes.
travel.
Yes.
And we're like, no, we go to these countries. These people are not smarter than us.
Yeah.
But why is it that in Africa, we tend to get the wrong leaders?
That's a big question. I will struggle with an answer and I will model through it.
All right.
One is that we have, for a long time, I was very hard on Paul Kagame. And I wrote until somebody from his presidency reached out to me and said, come and meet the president. This was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But as I grew older, I became less harsh. Because I began to understand the difficulty of procuring developments in our continent. And because of how rare you've seen countries that have had development on the material human indexes, maternal mortality, high FDI, all of those things, I began to be more forgiving of the imperfect ones who were already achieving that. Because I realized that Kagame didn't have to be perfect to be important.
That is true.
He didn't have to be perfect to be successful. He doesn't have to be perfect. So what I've learned is that we have a lot of successful leaders across the continent, and they too are not perfect. The leaders in Botswana, the leaders in Namibia, even Senegal, which is a country where we worked. There is a tragedy to the way that it ended with Macky Sall, But that doesn't detach from the usefulness of his successive governments, his 2 terms at the very least. So what I learned is that we often judge harshly people we should give grace to. One of my team members used to say we should never make, and I'm sure he paraphrased from somebody, we should never make the perfect the enemy of the good.
We should never make the perfect the enemy of the good.
In Nigeria, I was as a young law student. I was one of the harshest critics of our former president, Olusegun Obasanjo. And then I found out that it could get worse. So the thing is that I think there are 2 things. We do not need to lionize leaders. They are not mythical creatures. So I always say it about the movement that has happened in West Africa, for instance. We've had a splinter with Burkina Faso and Mali living ECOWAS. And these leaders have become symbols of empowerment and freedom. But I say don't mythologize them. They are not perfect. So at the same time as we are praising them, we must demand for a free press. We must demand for civil rights. We must ensure that these leaders don't become drunk on their own supply.
That is true.
We must, as we are praising them, that's how many of our freedom fighters became dictators. Because we were so in love with their picture
that is true.
That we didn't realize that no human being has risen above accountability. So when we mythologize leaders, we forget the things that should hold them in check. That's on the one hand. But on the second hand, we shouldn't throw them away or dismiss them when they make mistakes. You know, Churchill probably was at least racial, if not racist. You know, Mahatma Gandhi was, as the youth say now, problematic when it came to black skin. You can differentiate the good that they did in the world and the necessity of that good from their personal failings as human beings. So I think that is where we've often gotten it wrong as a continent. We fall too easily to the temptation of extremes. Either the leader is too bad or too good. And we don't hold them accountable with institutions. Whether it's opposition parties, whether it's strong, enduring civil society organizations. Look, if Donald Trump wants to change the law for abortion in America, which he tried to do, the biggest, what's it called? Opposition, it's not just Democratic Party, it's Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood is an NGO that has lasted for decades. So it's not just the political parties, they are enduring civil institutions that are powerful enough to stick with accountability agendas in over cycles of politics. Institutions is what I'm talking about. We've not had institutions that hold our well-loved leaders accountable over time.
Wow.
And that is a challenge. And it makes sense. Culturally, we are not an institution. It doesn't appear from our history that we are institution builders, so to speak. Just think of it. Our traditions in many African countries are oral traditions. So it's difficult to preserve the sanctity of the tradition because people can twist it. But most Western cultures wrote things down. So you cannot debate. You can debate what is written down, but you can't change what is written down. We can see it. So I suspect, based on what some historians have said, that our culture has tended to trust people without necessarily holding them accountable through institutions. You've had some rare things, the Mali Charter for Rights. You have the Oyomesi in Oyo State in Nigeria. But by and large, our decision-making as society has been communal.
That is true.
So, but as societies become larger, trust cannot hold them together.
It's true.
So I suspect, there's no proof for this because politics and history can be art more than science. I suspect that because we are not culturally institution builders, the way that we now understand institutions, we've not been able to have the challenge of holding strong men accountable.
This is a masterclass, man, and politics in Africa, but I think politics all over the world. We could spend hours and hours on it, and maybe even get more angry. But I love your perspective. Thank you. That is And I really hope that guys are watching and are listening, and maybe we can now start holding our leaders accountable. As I was reading and researching about you, the title of your next book, wait, has it been dropped?
No. It's out this quarter.
This quarter?
Yes.
Depression saved my life.
Yes.
And I'm like, what? Please expound. Depression saved your life.
Yeah.
I am looking forward to that book because what?
Yeah. It's amazing because the book literally just dropped in my mind when I woke up one morning. So I can't even take credit for it. I just woke up and literally heard, this is the book you're going to write, How Depression Saved My Life. Didn't brainstorm it, didn't strategize it, it just dropped in my mind. But short story. So I told you, I was CEO of a company called Red Media Africa, one of the biggest PR firms in the West African region at the list.
Right.
And 2015, 2015, yes, we set up a new company called Stagecraft that began to work in elections, worked in Nigerian elections, worked in Ghanaian elections. In that period of time, I had won all kinds of awards. I'd been Forbes 30 under 30, CNBC Young Business Leader of the Year, all of that. 2015, our business was nominated for African Business of the Year, along with Dangote Group and Chudday and all of that. So that's the heights that we had reached. Yeah,
that's crazy.
At a point in Nigeria, we're a PR agency to 3 of the top banks in the country. Yeah, so that is the height. I was speaking across, obviously I was speaking across the world.
Yeah,
that was the height that we had reached. And I was the CEO of this firm. But then I learned the most powerful lesson I ever learned in my life, that accomplishments, money, all of those things don't insulate you against sadness. So as I was succeeding financially and meeting all my milestones, in a stretch, we worked in 3 successful elections, Nigeria, Ghana, Senegal.
Yeah.
At that time, my personal life was falling apart.
Damn.
So it's amazing. I remember, I will share this later. But so it was collapsing. My relationship was collapsing. I felt like I was dealing with a deep insecurity that I talk about in the book that was stealing my joy.
Right.
So Kenya has an important part in this story. So I came for business school at the Strathmore Business School with my colleagues from the Lagos Business School in Nigeria. This is after the elections, 2015. I was dealing with I was dealing with a relationship crisis at the time.
Right.
So while I was here in business school in the classes, I couldn't cope. So after about 1 week, I told my class rep that I had to go. I couldn't handle this. I had to go back home. So I went back home and told one of my best friends that I'm feeling so sad. I do not understand this sadness. I can't function. Again, this was when our company was going higher.
Yeah.
And then he said to me that I needed to see a therapist. And I'm like, a therapist is for white people.
Yeah.
Not even, I didn't really argue too much, but I just thought therapy just feels too indulgent.
Yeah.
This is not something we do.
Right.
But I went ahead anyway because I'd never felt that way before. And my therapist said it wasn't clinical depression, but it was some form of depression.
Right.
So she gave me all kinds of things. She said I should travel, I should journal. She gave me some exercises to do over a period of months. So I was surviving. The things had not gotten better, but I was gaining control over them by understanding myself more. What was triggering my sadness, what was triggering my insecurity, all of that. Then, but the floor didn't collapse. So I stayed. 2016, I was still carrying these loads, but I started sensing that I wasn't enjoying my job anymore because of all of that.
Yeah.
Also, in addition to that, I don't want to, without saying too much about this, the Nigerian president, who we had just worked for, I began to be disappointed in him very fast, which is what I've learned from experience about flawed people.
Yeah.
Very fast. So I began to write against him. Like I won the election in April, he was sworn in May, I think, or June. By November, I began to protest against him. Burn the bridges. My partner was offered, my co-founder was offered an appointment. I told him to say no. I was offered an appointment in the government. I said no. I was just angry, disappointed. So that also contributed. So I began to have a sense of, what do I believe in? What do I know? I was so confident that this was the movement that was going to change this country.
Right.
And now that it didn't, that means everything I thought was wrong. So I was having a crisis.
It was a dissonance.
Dissonance. Yes, that was it.
Yeah.
It's a crisis in my personal life, a crisis in my political thoughts, a crisis in my faith. So, but that came later. So in 2016, so we're managing all this, but I'm like, I no longer want to do this work. So even the Ghanaian campaign, the Senegalese campaign, I was forced to travel. I was like, my co-founder should do everything. I don't want to deal with politics anymore. January came in, but we're still struggling. But January, then the worst happened. My biggest fear. The business ran into trouble for the first time in 10 years.
Oof.
So we had signed all these countries
Yeah.
and companies across three countries of Africa,
Yeah.
but they were refusing to spend. So your contracts are signed, but they have not started spending. I don't know, it was a perfect storm.
Oof.
It was a perfect storm. And so for the first time now, we've always learned this from Bill Gates, from Microsoft. We always used to have at least 1 year's running expenses in an investment account, just never played with that. So, but we've never touched that money in 10 years of business. So for the first time, we touched that money. And so I panicked. For the first time, because you see my profile, so from 15 I had been working and being successful. I'd never failed. So this was the first time I failed.
Oof.
And so I realized that, oh my goodness, everything I have built can just disappear like this. I remember the former president of the Nigerian Stock Exchange, who is now the chairman of Access Bank. I was speaking at an event with him while I was going through this crisis. I was on stage speaking in Lagos. And I was here to speak about economic volatility.
And you're experiencing that.
So I'm sitting down on stage thinking, all these guys are here listening to me teach them about business. And nobody can help me out of the challenge I'm facing at this point. You know, it was meta. Just, you're sitting now on a stage, applauded, celebrated, all of that. And you're going through the scariest experience of your life. It teaches you about life. Anyway, when that happened, in a few short weeks, I fell into clinical depression. I couldn't handle it. But by the time, so 3 months, I was depressed. I couldn't leave the house. At some point, I considered suicide because for me, it was, I can't fail after succeeding so much. My entire self-identity
is
tied to success. It's tied to being a wonder boy. It's tied to be young as this, young as that, under 40. My identity was tied. So to be divorced from it, it felt like my entire self had died. But there's something the Christian Bible says, unless a corn of wheat falls to the ground and dies, essentially it doesn't grow.
Right.
So that's what happened. So in the depression, I began to question my own identity. What do I believe in? Why do I do the things I do? Why did I think? And I began to go deeper into my faith. I began to read the Bible more. I began to pray more honestly. I've been a Christian all my life. Not the prayers that we do as Christians. Dear Lord, the Father of ages. No. I need help. I am failing. And I learned crucial humility at that time. I also learned that there was a part of myself that existed outside of my accomplishments. That I am not my accomplishments. I am not. So if I knew that I wasn't my accomplishments, even if they go up and down, I could have survived. But because I thought I was my accomplishments, I couldn't survive outside of accomplishments. And so I began to regain myself slowly. It's the longest story I tell it in the book. Regain myself slowly. But things hadn't changed. It was one of the greatest gifts that life has given me. So I came out of depression before my financial situation had improved.
Okay.
If not, I would have thought that I need to improve my financial situation before I can get better.
Right.
But I learned it was different.
Okay.
And so by the time I came out, I had questioned everything I believed in about life. Why was I trying to be a success? Why was I building this company? Why was I involved in politics? What did I think? You know, all these things. Why was money important to me? Why was success important to me? Why was being... And so by the time I came out of it, I realized I don't even want to continue running this company anymore. So in the middle of it, around it, I put on my resignation letter, submitted a 2-year succession plan. Luckily for me, the next year I got a fellowship at Yale University. Went there and spent 1 semester just asking myself and asking the universe, what do you have next for me? And it's that journey that led to my show. So literally, if I hadn't gotten sad, I hadn't gotten depressed, I hadn't discovered myself, I hadn't quit my job, I wouldn't be here sitting with you.
Wow. Sure. Okay. Wow.
That's how depression saved my life.
That's how depression saved your life. We're living in a very fast world, bombarded by so much, I guess. I mean, these gadgets that we have.
Yeah.
And right now, suicide and depression is such a common thing.
Yeah.
I'm always thinking, okay, one, what are we doing wrong? Or how can we change this? And why I phrase that question that way in terms of what are we doing wrong? At this point in my life, I am obsessed with what makes people different. There's someone who will go through exactly what you go through, you went through, and they choose suicide. And there's someone who will go through the same thing, but they choose to fight it. What makes the difference between these two people? And how can we teach it to my kids, to our kids? Yeah.
I always say, and I learned this, and I need people to understand what I mean. I always say that depression is a disease of perspective. Depression changes the way you see life. What incredible research into mental health shows us is that our minds are incredible tools. I was speaking at an event at the IHOP today, and I was talking about the fact that a lady said when she had a stroke, she realized that there are 3 stages of a stroke. The first stage is what she calls silence. Your mind stops connecting with your body. Some people say, for instance, when you say you are feeling sad, they say, oh, it's just all in your mind. I said, that doesn't mean anything, because your mind is where the action is. If your mind says, I am green, no matter what is happening in reality, you are not going to see anything but green. So that's what depression does. It warps your perspective on life. You see no clarity, you see no hope, you see no beauty, you see no joy, you see no possibility. You see no future. Now, when that happens, anything is possible.
Right.
So the way that it happens is that somebody needs to, whatever it is, drugs, therapy, love, prayer, something has to shift your perspective to see clearly. And when that's what happened with me, I was lucky that first therapy and second prayer helped me see differently, see my trouble differently. So one day in prayer, I got an intuition, go and see one of my mentors. I went to his house, and then he said to me, look, God is going to use this experience to change your life.
Right.
Chude, I'm telling you, he drew a diagram for me. It's the only diagram in my book. It says your life was you're supposed to go climb a mountain and come down, but God is shortening that journey by taking you through a valley. And it says it's the valley of the shadow of death, but it is not death. It's the shadow of death. It won't kill you. So what he did with that, and you don't have to believe in prophecy. It could have been a coach. It could have been a teacher. It could have been a book. What he did was he changed my perspective. If that didn't happen, who knows what might have happened to me? So the challenge, and that's to link it to your question about social media.
Yeah.
The challenge we are having, why there's an epidemic of loneliness, an epidemic of depression.
Yeah.
Researchers in America have clustered it as diseases of despair.
Okay.
People despair of their place in the world.
Right.
The reason for that is simple, and the research has shown this: research in economics, research in psychology, neuroscientific research, researchers in philosophy. Our minds are moving faster than our consciousness. This is what I mean.
Yes, please.
Yes.
Yeah.
You wake up in the morning. Before you've checked in with yourself, you pick up your phone. Now, this is what happens. You are hearing the voices of 1,000 people before you hear your own voice. Damn. People don't understand how significant this is. We went from 0 to 1,000. Previously, if you woke up in the morning in Nigeria, for instance, I don't know what it is in Kenya, the TV, if you grew up when I grew up, the TV doesn't come on until 4 p.m.
Yeah.
There were not a lot of adverts on the road. You had to have physical billboards. So the amount of messages you will see in a day will be severely limited to the things in your immediate environment. Some researchers in economics at the LSC did this. They said before, people have always been envious of others. Previously, you would be envious of your neighbor alone. Now you're envious of Kim Kardashian. You are envious of your director.
Yeah.
You are envious of Vuzi.
Yeah.
You are envious of Julius Malema.
Yeah.
At the same time. Do you understand? So your mind is absorbing incredible amounts of information that our ancestors could not even have conceived. You don't have enough time for want of a better word, your spirit to process it without it affecting your moods, affecting your cognition, affecting your behavior. So we have created a perfect storm of sadness. It is inevitable when you look at those things. I said to people, if you woke up in the morning and 10 people were clanging pots on your head, would you be physically healthy on that day? No. That's what is happening to your mind with social media. If you wake up in the morning and the first thing you do is, what do my friends think about what happened today? Whose life is better than my life? It's called social comparison. That's what the concept is called. Then a social comparison moves you fast to what is called the hedonic treadmill. The hedonic treadmill is where you think that to be happy, you need to do more, work more, post more, filter more, all of that. So like a treadmill, you are running fast, but you are going nowhere. That's it. It has always been, but what's happening is it's happening faster to more people at a time. And the solution is to slow down. But it's difficult to tell people to slow down when life itself is fast.
So fast.
Yeah.
Wow. Man, thank you for that. So having gone through that, and what are the daily habits that you have now picked up to stay healthy, physically, mentally, emotionally, that hopefully our classmates can start adopting? Yeah.
Thank you for asking that. I like to be asked that because it needs to be practical. Let me share my own practices, and they are grounded in the research. One is every morning, unless I have work to do, I don't pick up my phone until 12. Now most people can't do that, but I can. Some people can, but they don't do it.
Yeah.
So the first thing is to be present with myself, to be mindful. So you can adapt it whichever way you like. You can make it 30 minutes in the morning before you pick up your phone, you sit with yourself. You can make it 1 hour. You can make it put on your D&D on your phone. So the first practice, I don't touch technology. I don't touch what other people do or think until I've spent time with myself. So that's the first thing. The second thing is prayer. And the corollary for that is meditation. Prayer is not casting and binding demons. That's something else. Prayer is spending time with the highest part of yourself. If you're a Christian, and there are corollaries for this in Buddhism and Islam, it's called Christ in you. There's a part of yourself where God exists. You want to connect with that. That's what prayer does. There's a lot of research about meditation. So that's what I do. I pray every morning. If I can't pray, I also read something every morning. It might be a message, it might be a philosophical message, it can be a self-help thing, it can be a podcast, but I feed my spirit, I feed my consciousness every morning. And then I do gratitude journaling. Every day I write down at least 10 things that I'm grateful for.
Wow.
And at least 8 of those things are things that money cannot buy. So this morning, one of the things I put was my visit to the Karura forest. I felt incredible joy just walking in that forest for an hour. And that made my gratitude journal this morning. The research shows that for every negative thought you have, you need at least 10 positive thoughts to overcome it. Some research shows this. So what gratitude journaling does is that it immunizes you against the negativity that will come your way that day. So these practices, I don't play with them. I don't. Like, my gratitude journaling is important to me. It's not just something I do. I write down, what am I thankful for? And there is solid research behind it. What it does is that it prepares your mind, it biases your mind, it reminds your mind of all the good that exists in yourself and in the world. So those practices I never play with. And then I have something called an adversity journal. There's a psychology tool, and I break it down in the book. Basic psychology tool, very old, nothing new. Awareness, acceptance, and action. So that's how you deal with any psychological crisis. At the foundation of any treatment is awareness, acceptance, action. And so when I have a specific problem, I immediately pick up my notebook and I write down what is the problem, awareness, and how am I feeling about it. Can I avoid this situation or can't I? Acceptance. And then action. What will I do next? Once I write down, I stop what scientists call rumination. I stop thinking about the problem and I focus on the action I'm supposed to take. And none of this is new. This is not cutting edge wisdom.
No.
There's a big book that is going across the world, The Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins. It's a great book, but it still comes from the fundamental acceptance, awareness, acceptance, action model.
Awareness, acceptance,
and
action.
Yeah.
Wow, man. I will quickly jump to your platform with Chudday. Like I've spent hours on it since I knew we were going to have this conversation, and just how you think and how you've packaged yourself. I can tell you've had a lot of success because you don't move like your every other podcaster, and I want to learn so much from you.
Right.
So one of the things I struggle with on this particular podcast is, I know if we were to take vulnerable stories, then I'll get more viewership, then I can get more following, and then I can earn more. And I went the complete opposite of that spectrum, which is talking about success and talking about business in a very detailed way. So then my platform has become very niche. I don't get the numbers. And so when I look at a platform like yours, and it's been described, it's where vulnerabilities can be openly discussed. Where do you draw the line between using the emotions and the vulnerable conversation that you're having to your advantage? Like, how do you not use it as a spectacle to blow up?
That's a powerful question. That's a powerful question. I'm lucky. So first, I don't draw a line. And by what I mean by that is that I do not think that business is a negative thing. I joke that Warren Buffett is my godfather. I've never met him, but I've read everything that he's written. All his annual letter to shareholders, all his authorized and unauthorized biographies, I've read them. And there's something he says, I'm a card-carrying capitalist. And I'm the same. I believe in two things. I believe in democracy and free markets, which is capitalism. I believe in the free flow of ideas in the marketplace. And so because of that, I don't see capitalism as primarily exploitative. I see late-stage capitalism as primarily exploitative, but capitalism in itself is not exploitative. So making money from your gifts is not something that I'm conflicted about. A man's gift makes way for him. A therapist doesn't get conflicted about being paid for you to share your deepest secrets with her.
True.
Because you're solving a problem. You are adding value. And anybody who's watching my show knows that it's not spectacle. So it's not, so I do not question that. Now, I'm luckier that my show came from a sense of mission. Because I went through depression. I was already making money. Provably in the world. So I quit that. I tell people that I would have been wealthier today if I had stuck with that. Because when you break a leadership momentum, you lose momentum. So I lost momentum by handing over before I was ready. I could have making more money. So I know, in addition to that, I did this from a sense of mission. But that doesn't even matter. If you have a gift, a friend of mine, one of the best coaches I know, says, where do we learn that the things that make us happy should be given for free, and the things that make us sad we should be paid for? Where do we learn that it's only when we've suffered that people should put a premium on it? So it's my gift, by the grace of God and the universe, to help people reach vulnerable parts of themselves that teach other people life lessons. It's a gift, and it's a gift that brings value to society. So I do not feel any kind of way about monetizing my gift.
Right.
I don't.
Right.
And I think many institutions will be more honest if they spoke honestly about the fact that they were monetizing their gifts. Many people would be more happier in their professions, in their careers, if they understood that being paid for the value you bring is in fact an honorable thing.
Wow.
It makes them, I turned 40 this year and was celebrating 25 years in the media.
Right.
My second post this year, if I remember correctly, was, I like work. I'm not working because I need to make money.
No.
I've made more money from investments than the work I do. I work because there's something dignifying about work. You create value outside of yourself.
Right.
You know, I'm telling you, I was thinking about two things. Jeff Bezos is one of the most unpopular Americans. Amazon is loved by 80% of adult males in America.
Right.
Because Amazon is a fantastic company.
Yeah.
It solves your problems. As does, I don't want to call more brands, but there are so many brands that add real value, make your life easier.
That is true.
Why would you not spend your money for people that have created a product that makes your life easier? The other day I was on ChatGPT writing the script.
Okay.
And I said, ChatGPT, I'm so thankful for you. And I'm like, the amount of money I'm paying on a monthly basis is nothing to me.
Yeah.
Linked to the value that you are giving me.
Right.
That's what work is.
Right.
The market forces you to create value that solves problems. And you should be paid for that. So what I learned when I was younger, I used to be ambivalent about this. But as I got older, I realized you do yourself no service by being poor doing what you believe in.
That is true.
You will do it with anger. You will not do it with your highest potential. And you will not solve the problems that all of us need for you to solve.
Yeah.
So when you think of work in that way, that I'm adding value and I deserve to get value in return for the value I produce, then you will focus on how do I do this to the best of my ability. Wow. And all of us are going to be the better for it. That's how I approach my show.
Mr. Chudday, I would love, man, I think we can talk for hours and hours. And thank you so much for making time, because I know you need to rush somewhere else. But I really appreciate this. But I can tell from how you speak, you're an avid reader.
Yes.
Please give our classmates your top 3 books.
You know, this funny thing, because I know your show, I knew you were going to ask me this. And I've been struggling to pick my best books. Okay. But I will do these.
All right.
1, the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Okay.
It's the foundation of everything I believe about life and work. Its first law, be proactive, changed my entire career. You know, and begin with the end in mind. So 7 Habits of Highly Effective People is incredible book for anybody starting out their life. It forms the foundation. That's one. The Book of Joy by Archbishop Desmond Tutu and the Dalai Lama. It captures all the research about joy, about how to live a flourishing life. It's fantastic. It takes every single thing and systematizes it into a roadmap for your life. So the first one is very helpful, especially for your career and building the foundation of your life. The Book of Joy is helpful for you to live a happy life. And for those who can, I highly, highly recommend Yuval Noah Harari's Sapiens.
Man, I read that book. I don't know. It kind of the dissonance you were.
It's a mind-bending book.
Oh my God! It did things to me. I was like, let me put you aside because everything I've known up to now, you
messed it up. Yes, but that's why you have to finish it, because what it does is, for many of us, we don't understand where we come from as a civilization. So we think, that's why when you see people say it has never been done before. What that book does is show you all that has been done before. So people say history doesn't repeat itself, but it's cyclical. And the Christian Bible says what has been done before is what will be done again, and there is nothing new under the sun. So what Sapiens does is give you a philosophical understanding of the cyclical nature of life. And so when you finish, you feel like, oh, I've unlocked life. I understand it, because it disabuses you of your notions, it challenges your assumptions, it breaks you apart.
Right.
And I think that for many of us, because we don't understand fundamentally how life became life,
Yeah.
so we don't even have the courage to confront life. And what Sapiens did was give me a basic lattice work for understanding life and thus for confronting life.
All right. Thank you for the 3 books.
Yes.
Please plug yourself in.
Yes,
Which of your
yes,
books
yes,
should I get?
The book that people should get is How Depression Saved My Life.
How Depression
And
Saved
they can
My
get it on howdepressionsavemylife.com.
Okay.
And what I've done is I've taken, and like you said, I read too much. I read too much for my own good. So what I've done is I've taken all the books I've read, I've mixed it with my life experience, and I've applied it specifically for Africans. So if you're going through adversity, if you're trying to live a joyful life, if you're succeeding but you feel there's something missing, what I've done is I've taken my life story, I've merged it with the research, and I've applied it to myself as an African to say, this is how you can live a joyful life.
Mr. Chude, thank you so much. We have just one last thing that we usually love to do over here.
Yeah. What is my CEO superpower? That's a good question. So what I'm going to say, what's my group CEO superpower? Because now I don't run any companies, I run a group of companies. It's the ability to extremely delegate. I am an extreme delegator. Such a delegator that I'm like, if you are running one of the companies, I don't even see the checkbooks, I don't see the account statements, I don't care. Run your company. So that's the first thing, okay? Do you make big decisions on the desk, couch, or while pacing around? It's interesting because you can see how uncomfortable I am on this desk. First, I don't even have a physical office. The companies I run have offices, but I don't have a physical office. I don't like offices. They are too intimidating. They are too serious. I make most of my decisions on the couch. Lounging, talking, watching TV is when I get my best ideas. What do you want your leadership to feel like for the people around you? Which is such a good question. This is, I think, one of the most important questions. I want people around me to feel like there is nothing they cannot do. That when people work with me, and I've heard it constantly, they write about it, they post it on social media, whatever, they feel like I deeply, truly believe in them. Because I do. I believe that every human being has a superpower. And if they're struggling under me, it's because I, as a leader, haven't found out how best to leverage their magic. And so when people leave me, I want them to feel empowered. And as a leader, I have made people feel disempowered once or twice. It's part of the wear and tear. But when I feel like a person feels like I can't do something because of what Chudday said or did, it makes me sad. I feel like our most important jobs as leaders is to find out each person's superpower and as much as possible to structure their work to unleash their superpower. That's what's most important to me.
Right. Thank you so much.